Driving north through Owens Valley in California, we felt amazement fill the car. The Sierra Nevada mountains rose up like giant protectors, mysterious and calm under a clear blue sky. Everywhere we looked felt like a scene from a postcard, perfect and beautiful. For people who live there, maybe it was just an everyday view, but for us, it felt magical. Our road trip was supposed to take us up to the Pacific Northwest. We planned to visit places like Washington and the northern coast, but something made us slow down as we drove past a big, old sign that read Manzanar War Relocation Center. I had read about Manzanar in history books, but seeing it there, in real life, made my heart beat faster. Here in this wide open, peaceful landscape was a place that had been filled with pain, fear, and struggle. It made me feel strange and sad. I pulled the car over. I had to see it. Something inside me told me that I needed to stop and learn what happened there. My own grandfather had been a prisoner during World War II. He was taken by the Nazis to a prison camp called Grossrosen. By some miracle, he returned home after the war, but his health was so broken that he died soon after, right in front of his family. I always felt close to his story, even though I wasn't there. Stopping at Manzanar felt like honoring my family's story in a way, even though this place was different. In 1942, after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, the US government began to suspect that Japanese Americans might be spies or traitors. There was no evidence for this, but fear spread quickly. Eventually, the government decided to force over 110,000 Japanese Americans, including children, parents, and grandparents, to leave their homes, businesses, and everything they knew to live in camps far from home. One of these camps was Manzanar. Standing there, in the hot desert air, I couldn't believe that people were forced to stay in such a lonely, harsh place. I imagined the shock they must have felt, leaving their homes in California or Washington, only to arrive here surrounded by desert mountains and miles of empty space. For over 3 years, they lived here with little freedom. Many families lost their homes and businesses forever. They were American citizens, yet they were treated like enemies. We went inside the visitor center, where it was quiet, almost like a church. The place felt sacred. There were exhibits everywhere, with pictures of the people who lived at Manzanar during those hard years. I remember looking at their faces in the photos. Their expressions were sad but determined, as if they wanted to tell their story to anyone who would listen. One display showed the types of food they ate, and another explained how the children went to school in the camp. Life in Manzanar was simple, stripped down to the basics, but people made the best of it. As we walked through the museum, I saw some of the items that people had brought with them. Families were allowed only a few suitcases, so most left behind things that were important to them, things like family heirlooms, books, toys, and even pets. In one photo, I saw a girl holding her doll as she boarded the train to Manzanar. I wondered if she ever saw her home or her favorite things again. The barracks were another part of the camp we visited. These were the simple, uncomfortable buildings where people lived, crowded in tight spaces with only thin walls for privacy. The barracks were made of wood and offered little protection from the extreme desert temperatures. Winters were freezing cold, and summers were unbearably hot. In every corner, I could feel the sacrifices these people made to survive in this environment. It wasn't a prison with bars, but it was a prison in every other sense. Manzanar also had a mess hall where people ate their meals. Families could no longer eat together as they once did at home. Instead, they lined up for food and sat wherever there was space. Privacy was a rare thing in the camp, and people had to adjust to this new way of living. Even with the struggles they faced daily, people tried to create a sense of community. They built a small Japanese garden in the camp, a tiny piece of beauty in a place that felt harsh and empty. We spent hours walking around the camp. We saw the cemetery where some internees were buried, marked by a white obelisk that said Soul Consoling Tower. It was sad but beautiful, a reminder of the people who had lived, suffered, and sometimes even died there. Walking among the dusty grounds and seeing the mountain range in the background, I felt a sense of connection, not just to my own family history, but to the lives of all the people who were held in this place. I realized that Manzanar wasn't just a historical site, it was a lesson. It was a reminder of what can happen when fear and prejudice lead people to make choices that take away the rights of others. I thought about how important it was to remember this dark part of history so that something like this might never happen again. Before leaving, we stood by the Japanese garden one last time. It felt like a place of hope, showing how people can still create beauty even when their freedom is taken away. The people in Manzanar had nothing but each other and their strength. Yet they found ways to survive, and even thrive, in a place designed to confine them. When we finally left Manzanar, we walked quietly back to the car. My family and I didn't speak much at first, each of us thinking deeply about what we had seen and learned. Manzanar was more than a historical site. It was a powerful reminder that the darkest moments in history can echo through time, touching lives that never even experienced them. As we drove away, I felt changed. I knew I would remember Manzanar for a long time. If you ever find yourself near Owens Valley, stop and visit this place. Bring your family, learn the stories, and remember, Manzanar is a part of American history that should never be forgotten.